It's Wednesday, April 29th, early evening, around 9, and it's raining. I'm inside something. I'm covered. It's sort of like my tree in the woods that there's still rain getting in. But I was thinking about my children and how much I miss them and love them, and how it's terribly unfair them not being able to see me and me not being able to see them, and the confusion is probably causing especially the younger ones to kind of have mommy ripped out of their lives, seemingly. I know that it's temporary. It still is wrong. And, you know, their dad, I'm sure, would want to try to paint the picture as me running off and, like, abandoning the children or something, I'm sure. But the truth is that financial abuse continues long after, you know, you file for divorce, when you're dealing with a covert narcissist or just an abuser, and covert domestic violence, especially that is fueled and propped up by any spiritual abuse, because in your whole circle of everyone that you know or knew as friends and acquaintance and, you know, a pastor and their wives, and every single person is part of a, you know, cult, basically, no matter if it's, quote, mainstream Christianity or whatever it is. It's like a cult, and the abuser is backed by other abusers, and there's a lot of triangulation and gaslighting and all the control tactics to keep the person that they're using, which is me, in the place of kind of being entrapped or stuck. And, you know, me leaving and me freeing myself is going to bring down the whole thing, all of it. What the Christians really are, what religion really is, what it's really is all about energy harvesting. And my children, unfortunately, I believe at least some of them are being molested by their dad, Tracy Henderson. He's a pedophile, as are most, if not all, of the secret society members, women, men, and even children, especially children that kind of grow up in this. Many of them are turned into, like, an abuser, basically. All happening somehow under the nose of the protective parent, who had no clue that these kind of things were going on, and only looking back and seeing, okay, I've been married to someone who's been a repeat you know, offender as far as having affairs. So, and then I've been married to someone who's had a porn addiction. I've been married to someone who's been practicing marital rape on me for years. Like, there was just no didn't mean no to him and these church leaders. I was to submit to anything and everything, and it didn't matter if I didn't want to or if I was crying. And then when the children, you know, are groomed and being molested, then they are somehow, without my knowing, they were partaking in incest, at least the older three, amongst each other. And I believe this was, like, somehow groomed into them by their dad and the things that he was doing to them. And so when I found out about the incest years and years after it had at least begun, I think that was a huge indicator of molestation from their father. But it was so devastating to me, and it took me about a year to report it. So I miss my children, and I wish to protect them from sexual abuse and just any abuse, honestly. Emotional abuse and covert, all the covert abuse is damaging, and it's difficult. It's hard on your body, it's hard on your brain. And when I think about them, I tend to get sad, and I miss them, and I want to cry, and I think that's why I don't think about them more, because it's so painful. And then I realized that I'm still functioning in more of a survival mode, at least in some areas, because as much healing as I've done, I still, I'm still kind of pushing away, I guess just for my own protection, thinking of them every single day, and I could think about them every single day, all day long, and I would be in an immense amount more pain. So I think about them, and maybe I get sad and I have a cry if I need to, and then I call judgment again, and I tell my spirit team, like, this is taking longer than I want it to be. I'm ready to see some real evidences of change, but then I just go on about my life in any practical way that I can, and I find things that bring simple pleasures to my life, and they don't replace my children, but I have to be okay with this present moment. So right now I have to be okay with rain leaking on my sleeping bag and hope it doesn't get too wet, and that's okay. And it might just be a coffee and a quiet moment, maybe to write a poem, and I don't have to add it on my phone right now, but I might, it might be nice sometime to, listen to something. I haven't been listening to music or anything for quite a while, but listening to something, or finding a library or a Starbucks or a grocery store even that has a little nook where you can sit and maybe the music isn't blaring too loudly, and even on the bus sometimes you can just be meditative and just look at the clouds, or maybe observe the people and the different ways that people express themselves with their clothing, or maybe you notice people who kind of look down and out and become curious about perhaps what their life is like, or if they're sad or if they're happy. And so in the midst of just being present every day and whatever that day brings, and the challenges right now of staying warm and staying dry and staying safe, and just finding somewhere to lay down at night and sleep, my thoughts aren't always on my children. And I think that that's okay, because like I said, if I allow myself to, I could really be just so overburdened with sadness, having my children really stolen from me, and so much of my life taken and stolen by my parents and the husband they hired, and all these people who've been harvesting my energy, until I really woke up spiritually and became aware of this whole situation. And I believe I will get my children back, at least the younger ones, that haven't indulged in pedophilia and cannibalism. But I miss those children too. I miss them. I miss who they used to be, who I knew them to be. Delisa, my oldest, I love her. I love all of them. I love her still. I think that she probably realizes that she went the wrong way and that this cult she's a part of will want to sacrifice her. And that makes me sad. And my son, Dante, the next one down, had wanted me to, as he said, for my protection, to start carrying a gun, and I don't speak with these children anymore, but the last interaction I had with him, I let him know that I got a download of why he had wanted me to own a firearm that would have been, registered in my name, which I never have. I never did do that. But it was so that they could use, they, meaning the secret society, which he's a part of, they could use it somehow to kind of plot a murder-suicide and make it look like I had taken my life. And that was revealed to me. And then I understood why he wanted me to do that. And then there's my third son. He's 5 years younger. The first two are only a year apart. 27, 26, and 21. But my third son, I believe that he's been heavily involved in a lot of immorality, and I believe it was his job to take me out. I believe he tried traveling and was going to kill me. I hate to say rape and kill me, but these are the things that were shown to me. And then my next child just turned 18 recently, last month, and moved out on the day she turned 18 and has told me she doesn't want to ever speak with me again. I believe that she has been being molested by her dad, and that's why she wanted to move out. I believe she's also in heavy denial about that and not ready to tell me. She probably doesn't feel that there's any safety to even tell anybody. I hope to be restored. That relationship with that child will be restored in the future. Then there's the next child, who's the oldest of the minor children, still living at home with their dad, and he's tried to tell me I'm worshiping a demon, and then he starts laying on a thick guilt trap, and I explain to him that I have boundaries and I will not continue letting him speak to me that way, and he has a right to think whatever he wants, but I have a right to not listen to that toxic, he'll say things like, I know you'll think of this when you lay down at night, and just really controlling. And I don't know, I do hold out hope for the children, especially the children that are younger, but I'm not sure if that child will come around or not. And if he's taken part in pedophilia and cannibalism, he very well might not. And then the other children, younger than that, I fully believe I will reclaim. And I will offer them safety. And I love them all. It saddens me to have given birth to really 11, but to these 9 children that are still alive, to have given birth, and then maybe half will, be good, or have, where their lives have meaning and value, and they overcome, the travesties and ensnarements that have been thrust on them. It saddens me that so many of my children have been groomed by their father and used by the secret society to basically give up, I almost want to say the worth of their life, but just giving themselves over to despicable and debauchery kind of things, and in a way it's not their fault, and then in a way they have to take responsibility. You can't always just point back to, the parent that molested you or the sibling that tricked you into something. You have to, no matter what age we find ourselves, we have to take responsibility for but then what did I do? This happened to me, but then what did I do? Or, as I got older, then what did I do about that, And several months ago, I was pondering how people could do the kind of things that they do, which is happening in just so many people are pedophiles and cannibals in our society. It's just hidden, and I was just kind of meditating over how could people be brought to do something like that. And this was going back several months, but I feel like the answer came through the middle of the night. I believe it was the middle of the night. And there was I woke up and it was kind of like a funny sensation, unlike anything I had ever felt before. And I feel that I was being given the sensation or pleasure or whatever you want to say. And it was like my guides or my ancestors were showing me very, very short snippets. It was 3 times separate of, a certain feeling, a feeling I had never felt before. And as I pondered on what that feeling was supposed to be, the realization of, okay, that's the way that it feels when these people are doing these things, when they're energy harvesting and they're through these disgusting means of, sexual abuse, pedophilia, or rape, and or drinking the blood of humans and consuming human by eating or drinking, which I will not do, and I have no there's no part of me that wants to do that. And I feel that these sensations were given to me in these 3 different times separate, just so that I could understand on at least some level, the pleasure in it is, probably addictive, and that's one thing that makes it hard if you've done those things, to just say, oh, you know what, by the way, no thank you, because first of all, the secret society would, sacrifice you. It's not like they're like, oh, okay, cool, you're not really interested? Sure, you can just exit. You won't tell anybody about what we really do, right? No, they take people out all the time. So there's people who are blackmailed. I'm sure they were trying to blackmail me into this by me starring in porn and the marital bed all these years that I didn't know was being recorded, for example. And probably every boyfriend I ever slept with was recording and things like that, I'm assuming. Then there's the pornography that I was starring in infancy, as my uncles and dad and mom took part, and strangers and doctors and everybody and their mama and their friends took turns at me. So I'm sure that there was quite the plan of blackmailing me into this, but they didn't know I'm the one to bring it down. They were warned to stop. And this whole society is going to get flipped on its head. And everything that's been done in the dark is coming to light. And I will retrieve my children who have not corrupted. I hope I wish there was a way to retrieve my children who have corrupted, because it, at least in some way, isn't their fault. But then, when people give themselves over to these things, that becomes their fault, no matter what was done to lure them in. And then there's people like me, who, no matter what was done to them, never defected. It doesn't mean I have not, raised my voice at my kids or lost my cool ever in my life or anything like that. It just means I never have sought out to harm somebody. I never, decided, yeah, I think I'll, touch my children in appropriate ways, or, whatever, those kind of things. I didn't know people were taking part in cannibalism. I knew some people choose to molest their children. I did not know my children were being molested, or I would have done anything in the world to stop that. I did have intuitive, I guess it was knowings, but I thought it was stemming more from me being abused, which I knew I had been. I just didn't know who and how much, but I felt like it was my unhealed trauma from me being abused that was making me overly concerned for my children's safety. But I know now it was my intuition being right. I was dead right about their dad, about these concerns that he would do that to them. And I tried to teach my children safety about their body, and how no one should be, especially once they were not needing help with potty training and stuff, but that nobody should be touching them down there and things like that. I tried teaching my children from a young age. All I know is I sure tried, and I hate how much enemies. It's not one enemy. It's not Satan. It's not the devil. It's many devils, many spirits. But I hate that my children were deceived by spiritual enemies. And I still love you, Jaleesa. And I love you, Dante. I love you, Layden. I love you, Kalina. I love you, Uriah. I love you, Asher. I love you, Micah. I love you, Hillary. I love you, Yuri. I will be repaid for all of the turmoil and all of what's been done to me, and that will be bringing down this whole society, this whole disgusting secret society. It's much bigger than Puppet Trump. Ice is for my coffee. The illusions are grand scale. And the truth of all their dirty secrets is coming out. I am Ocean. I don't know if I was born Jennifer Waller, but my name that is on my birth certificate that I have seen is Jennifer Elaine Waller. Then I married Tracy Leon Henderson. At least that's the name that I know him by. He is a pedophile. He's a serial murderer. He has married for money and killed before. He's really a disgusting individual who deserves to be put to death and will be. or he will take his own life as he sees the fruit that he is bearing actually be harvested. His sister Felicia is a dirty bitch who's been harvesting off of me for a long time, and she as well. Jasmine. So many. So many. My mother, my father. Not really my father. Maybe Uncle Poe is my father. Sleeping with my mom. Something like that. I don't know. I don't know all the details, and I don't have to. But there are people like me who never, no matter what's done to them, they never defect to become the abuser. They have a well of love that overflows from within them no matter what. And it saddens me that my cousins, like my cousin Melanie and Joey, my uncles, Uncle Jack, Uncle Richard, Uncle Poe, all these people. Patricia. Aunt Patricia? There's a lot of family secrets and a lot of things not what they seem. I very well could have been abducted and put up for a Mormon adoption through or just simply robbed, and not even a true adoption, just stolen. But it's an aura. They knew when I was born. They, meaning some kind of alien life form in human bodies, who were able to discern spiritual things, even though they are very sinister and dark. They knew who I was when I was born. So they put me in a hell of a situation to stop me from ever awakening. And they have failed. And I'm 47 years old.